Hi everyone, welcome to Michelin King. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'll just pull you down a bit so that you can see what's going on here. There we go. So some of you will catch up with this after work, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to look at what's the difference between a polish, what's the difference between a glaze. Always remember to put the phone off. That's the beauty of live videos. What's the difference between your pre-wax, your glaze, and also your polish? Now, for ease, we'll just stick these behind us so that you can see them all at the one time. So first off, we have the polish. A polish is an abrasive that's used to remove any scratches, any marring, that type of thing from the paintwork. So the biggest difference between this and any of the other products that we offer is that your polish will always be an abrasive. That is the traditional consensus on what a polish is. Obviously now, hi Michael, how you doing? So obviously now what you'll also see are things like polishes. They're marketed as polishes, but they also contain wax or we'll use that in a broad sense. So they contain wax, but they'll also contain things like silicons and polymers and other types of products that offer protection. Now, they aren't polishes. You do get things called all-in-one polishes. They're slightly different. So an all-in-one polish can have a mild abrasive, but strangely enough, you're starting to hybridize it, which is a relatively new thing, so to speak. So first up, you've got your polish. So the polish that we offer, it comes in 3 different grades. So you have your mild, or what we call our dueling polish, then you've got your medium polish, and then you've got your heavy duty polish. They also can be tied in with different grades of sandpaper as well. So if you've used a certain grade of paper, then you can work down. And it also depends on the abrasiveness of the polish, or the result from machining your car will also depend on the type of pad that you're using and also the machine. So some machines are more aggressive, such as a rotary, than say a dual action machine. Some pads are more aggressive than others, looking at the microfibers, or a foam pad or even a wool pad as well. So you get different types of pads. So next up would be cloak. So cloak is a glaze, and what a glaze is designed to do is it's designed to mask some of the lighter wash marring and that type of thing that remains on the paint when you don't want to. One of the things I would say is obviously your clear coat is a fixed size. So if you aim to keep the car for a few years, you don't typically always want to polish the paint to perfection because there's only so much paint. And again, it depends on the car that you've got. Some clear coats are quite thick and some clear coats are quite thin. And obviously if the car's been repainted as well. So it is worth looking at the whole picture when you polish the car. It might be okay if you're the first owner, but like most of us, if it is a second or third owner car, then you want to be careful because you don't typically know the history of the paint, so you don't always want to go in with the heavy duty stuff first. And that's where cloak fills a bit of a gap, literally as well. So as a filling product, as a glaze, the definition of a glaze within Michelin King and within other companies would be a product that is non-abrasive but also offers a brightening or an enhancing to the paintwork. So cloak is a great product to have. One of our most popular products on the shelves. We've actually just restocked, did a restock over the weekend of that, so there's plenty available. There is 15% off on the site just now. It's just use the discount code WINTER at checkout and that'll give you 15% off. And it is site-wide, so it's on everything at the moment. And next up we have Pure, which is a pre-wax cleaner or pre-wax cleanser. This is a slightly newer idea or a slightly newer technology, so to speak, or a newer product. That isn't new technology, it's a newer product. So what it does, it's, as it says on the jar, on the bottle even, is a pre-wax cleaner. So what this does is it cleans. You wouldn't want to use cloak and then pure, because pure will clean cloak. So pure is a chemical cleaner. There is a very, very small amount of abrasives in there, but nothing really to make a huge dent. The reason we have abrasives in there is if you've ever washed your hands with the soap that has the sand or the grit or whatever inside, you tend to get a much deeper clean. And that's the idea behind this. If you put a small amount of abrasive particles in there, you'll get a much deeper clean than you would with just a chemical cleaner. One of the reasons that Pure is so popular is because it cleans the paint so well. The result of that, or the positive that comes of that, is extremely glossy paint. So this is the thing that we talk about quite often, is the cleaner you can get your paint, the better it will look. So if you can get rid of all the grime and whatever, no matter how deep it is embedded into the paint, if you can get rid of that, then the paint will look much, much better. And that's this, you hear this, the secret to great paint, the secret to a great penis and whatever. Now, the secret to great paint is clean paint and typically defect-free. Now, in the real world, that's not always possible, because we do use our cars. Most of us use the cars every day. So we have to live with a certain amount of defects. I mean, just now, unfortunately, I caught my car driving home the other day on the side of a bush, and it's left not scratches, but just these tree sap transfer, as it were, just lines across the paint, and these things will happen. The nice thing about it is you can actually remove that type of transfer with Pure, so you don't have to go too aggressive with the paint. It's especially in our case, because we test all the products on my car. We need to be really careful with the amount of paint that we are removing, so it's always good to have that chemical cleaner. And this really will make a massive, massive difference to your paint, because you've probably got products on there that have silicons, that have filling agents that have never really been removed, because most of these byproducts are nearly impossible to remove with a normal detergent. Silicon is a very difficult product to remove, but it's made much easier by this. Not only does it thin it down, it can actually lift it. It gets in behind the silicon and actually can lift it off the paint. So it does make a big difference. Now, in terms of the stages that you would use this, so you would always use your polish first. Your most aggressive method would always come first. That doesn't mean use the most aggressive polish. I should clear that up. I just mean the lineup that we've got here. This is the most aggressive product, and it's the one that you don't want to leave any residue on the paint. So you can use this. You can then use quick detailer or something just to get rid of any residue or whatever that's left over. You can then go straight on to Pure. You don't need to use an isopropyl white down. It's not something I'm a huge fan of, using alcohol on the paint. The reason being is that it can really hamper your tires. It can really destroy the rubber gaskets on round about your windows, and it can badly mark the plastics on your paint, plastic surrounds on your mirrors and things like that as well. So it's not something I'm a huge fan of. It's fine in the body shop environment, because they are typically repairing their paint, so they'll use tried and tested, you'll know them off the top of your head, these wipe down products, panel wipe and that type of thing. But it's not something I would advocate for a detailer, an enthusiast, a valeter to use. It's not really a requirement. The only time I would possibly look at it is if you're using an out-and-out ceramic coating, but there are other methods available that are a bit less aggressive to the rubbers and the plastics and things like that. Obviously you can water it down, but then you're watering down the usability of it as well. So you just need to make double sure that what you are trying to remove is actually coming off the paint. So these are all things that are, you know, good to know. So you would do this, you would then go onto your pure, because what that's doing is it's cleaning off any of the residual oils that are left here, but it's also doing a deep clean as well. Now, what I would say is if you're using something like an abrasive polish, that will also deep clean the paint. It's just in the off chance that you know, you're preparing your paint for a new wax or something like that, then reach for this. If you're not using a polish. So obviously a polish will also clean the paint and level it out. That's the big, that's what you're trying to do when you polish the car. You're actually trying to level the paint out so that it's got a nice reflective surface. Here's that again, Riddle. You've probably all seen, you know, the pictures on the internet where you see a block and then there's zigzag lines and whatnot, and then post polishing you'll see a bit of clear coat removed and then a much flatter surface as well. And what the pure does is it gets into those zigzag lines, whereas a clay bar can't because it's above surface contamination, whereas a pure is going below surface or into the grooves and things like that. So after that, you would then follow that with cloak if you want. So cloak will really enhance the gloss. Again, it's got some nice gloss enhancers in there. It's got some nice filling ability as well. So if your paint is not absolutely perfect, then you can follow up with the cloak. But the funny thing is, I tend to use the cloak even if the paint is really, really nice, just because it gives that further boost of gloss. You would then follow this up with a sealant. What a sealant does is it actually just seals in what you've just done there. There's two ways that you can work it. If you want a long-lasting finish, then you put the sealant on and then the glaze after. And the reason you do that is the glaze is not a long-lasting product. So if you put the sealant on top of this, the glaze will eventually come off and off lifts the sealant at the same time because it's not adhered onto the paint. So pure being the chemical cleaner, it leaves you nice bare paint. So you can put your sealant on and then your cloak, or your cloak then your sealant. For most of us as enthusiasts, the cloak then the sealant is absolutely fine because you are using other products as well. You're maybe using spray waxes or rinse aids or snow foams that have got wax in them and protectants as well. And then you can follow that up with one of the waxes as well, and that will give you a really, really nice shine. So there you go. That's the difference between a polish, a pre-wax, and a glaze. So just to recap, a polish is an abrasive, pure is a chemical cleaner, and a glaze is a gloss enhancing product. That's the best, or that's the most simple definition. I tend to find that if you describe things in the most simple terms, then there's no complications in any sense. So it makes it easier to pick up the right product off the shelf. And obviously, if there's ever any questions, anything like that, please, we've got the online chat, we've got email, and obviously the phone lines as well. So if there aren't any questions, just let me know. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.